The silhouette of a police uniform is designed to represent the presence of the law. It signals authority is active and watching. But when that silhouette eclipses the light, it represents a power that can operate entirely out of sight. In November 2020, the streets of Tamil Nadu looked like this. A massive mural served as a reminder of a global pandemic that had forced the entire country into a state of emergency. Strict curfews had emptied the public squares, leaving the streets to the police. For those still outside, the uniform was the only law that mattered. P. Jayaraj and his son Benix ran a small mobile phone shop in the town of Sathankulam. On a Friday evening, local officers took them into custody. The charge was minor, allegedly keeping their shop open 30 minutes past the 7 p.m. curfew. Because of the lockdown, the usual witnesses to an arrest were gone. Once the father and son were taken behind the doors of the Sathankulam station, they were in a space where officers held total control, far from the eyes of the public. Inside the station, the arrest for a curfew violation turned into a night of sustained violence. 10 officers participated in the assault, using batons and boots to inflict injuries so severe that the floor of the station was covered in blood. Before the sun rose, the officers began managing the evidence. They forced Jayaraj and Benix to scrub the station floor with their own lungis. Then, they ordered the family to provide dark-colored clothing, specifically to ensure the fresh blood from the victim's wounds wouldn't be visible to anyone outside. The legal system failed to intervene. A local magistrate, citing COVID-19 distancing protocols, stayed on his first-floor balcony, while the victims remained in a vehicle below. He signed the remand order without ever looking at the men or checking their medical condition. Both men died in custody within days. Anticipating an inquiry, the officers at the station proactively wiped the internal CCTV hard drives, removing the only digital record of what had happened inside that room. This was a crime designed to disappear. From the station to the magistrate's balcony to the jail cell, every checkpoint meant to protect the citizen had been bypassed or compromised. The 10 officers involved believed they were the only witnesses, but there was an 11th person on duty that night, Head Constable Revati. Revati was a lower-ranking officer in a department where seniority and gender created a rigid hierarchy. She had spent the night watching her superiors operate with total impunity, unable to stop them as they ignored her pleas for mercy. When the CBI arrived to take over the investigation, the accused officers felt secure. The station cameras were blank, the medical reports were forged, and the victims were dead. To ensure it stayed that way, the police hierarchy began a campaign of intimidation against Revati. She was warned that her silence was the only thing keeping her husband and her 2 daughters safe. She was caught between 2 impossible choices. If she spoke, she put her family's lives at risk. If she stayed silent, she became a permanent part of the cover-up for a double murder. The weight of the secret eventually became unbearable. Revati finally told her family the truth about what she had seen and heard, the screams of the 2 men that still rang in her ears weeks later. Her family's response was a moral ultimatum. They told her that if she didn't speak up now, she would never have the right to put on her police uniform again. Revati bypassed the local police entirely. She secretly petitioned the Madras High Court for federal protection, placing her safety in the hands of the judiciary rather than her own commanders. With federal protection secured, Revati walked into the courtroom. She stood in the witness box and detailed the events of that night while staring directly at the 9 officers who had threatened her. While the internal cameras were wiped, investigators found exterior footage showing the officers' movements. The timestamps on those videos matched Revati's testimony exactly, proving she was telling the truth about who was in the station and when. The officers had built their defense on the assumption that no one inside would ever break ranks. Once Revati's account was validated by the exterior cameras, the entire fabricated timeline they had presented to the court became impossible to sustain. The verdict was a landmark in Indian legal history. Based almost entirely on the testimony of a single colleague, the court found the officers guilty. The judge handed down the death penalty for all 9 surviving officers. The ruling stated that when those empowered to uphold the law use their uniform to torture, they lose any claim to the law's mercy. Today, years after the sentencing, Revati is still a head constable. She has refused promotions and transfers, choosing to stay at the same station to ensure she is present for every appeal and legal challenge the officers launch. This commitment has come at a price. Because she testified against her own, she is viewed as a traitor by police loyalists. She lives her life under the constant watch of court-appointed armed guards. Corruption within an institution relies on the belief that everyone will choose self-preservation over the truth. Revati's story shows that the strongest culture of silence is only as durable as the conscience of the person standing next to you.